Hello, everyone. This is Maylena Ann,
Jordan.
and we are the board certified BAes.
BAes.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Back in the studio.
Something like that. Um, how you feeling about summer almost being over?
I guess that depends on when you're listening to this, but yeah, for right now, the chaos can end.
Yeah. Does anyone else feel like it's real chaotic during the summers at work? I mean, I
Yeah.
haven't been working, so I couldn't tell you. But
Yeah, it gets that way.
yeah,
How are you doing? You're about to come back off
I
maternity leave.
know. It's my last official week at home with my babies. Bittersweet. I do love my job, so I'm excited to be back, but also just can't believe that I'm out of this newborn time.
Yeah.
So,
She's
anyways.
basically talking.
No, she really is. Babies in development are really fun. So she's actually like cooing a lot and a lot
Yeah.
of trying to hold a conversation with us at 3 months. So it's cute.
Yeah. It's cool.
Anyways, so all right, what are we getting into today?
So today we're going to get into telehealth and some technology stuff around ABA.
Sweet.
So, well, let me ask you the question first. Is telehealth good or bad?
I feel like it's more complicated than that. I feel like there's a right way to do it, and I feel like there's a wrong way to do it.
Okay.
I feel like there's times where it's more beneficial to do something online than to go in person. So here's an example. As adults, when your kids are sick, you have to miss work sometimes, right? If I feel like I can still provide some sort of support to staff while I'm at home, I think it can be beneficial.
Okay.
I think if there is an IEP that I can attend online that's 45 minutes away, it's more beneficial for me to go online and do that so that I can still help my clients throughout the day and not feel like that's my whole day is driving unless it's completely necessary. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I feel like there's a lot of like, it can be beneficial, it can be helpful, but I don't think that it's as high quality as in person. Now, parent consultation, I would say that's different. I think if you're not meeting, like, sometimes we do parent consultation with the actual student there, then that needs to be in person. I would say though, if it's just like you and the parent, I think you can do it telehealth. I think, especially if it's like that's the only time parents can talk is like during their like 30-minute lunch or something like that. Then I think it is extremely beneficial. What's your opinion?
It's similar to yours. It's a complicated issue, especially for where we are now as a field. I think that COVID created the opportunity for us to explore telehealth opportunities more readily, I guess, than what we were doing prior to that, which was mostly in home.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that saw the benefit of that, and clients as well, because they were able to get something versus nothing.
Yeah.
In a lot of areas. I just think that it isn't as good as being there in person. I do think that it has its place. I mean, there's probably families that are in rural areas that don't have a
true.
BCBA present in a small town of 1,000 people or something like that. There might not be a BCBA that can make the trip out there. So having somebody that can provide some support is, I think, huge. And I think that that's where telehealth can be really good. I think telehealth can be very good as a BCBA if you are doing like a bug in the ear type of procedure where you're talking to the therapist directly as they're doing things, and the client can't hear you. So you kind of, the therapist is being the hands on the ground and you're helping by being the brain or collaborating with them to be a collective brain. I think that can be very beneficial. But I think that also has to happen sparingly. I don't think that you can do it all that way. I just think that there's just a lot of room for error in doing it that way personally. I mean, during COVID, I did it. I did a lot of telehealth. I hated it.
He struggled.
I hated looking at a screen that much and being by myself. I felt so isolated. But I also know that there are a lot of BCBAs that are looking for full-time remote positions, which kind of rubs me the wrong way if you can go out there. That I think the time that you spend with the client, it helps you to develop as a reinforcer or as somebody that they can trust and not just a stranger to them. And I think that is important. Not only that, you also have the conversation that you have with your staff walking out of the house and walking to the car together and just debriefing about the session. That goes so far with staff. But if, they're willing to get out of bed, get out of their PJs and go, and we can't, I think that's just hard. I think it's just sending a little bit of the wrong message here and there. But that's not to say that there isn't good in it. Parent consultation, I've done PC with parents on their lunch break while they're eating. We can't just drive somewhere for 30 minutes or 45 minutes and be successful all of the time. It's good for a check-in. And doing PC, I think doing supervision, doing IEPs, I think there's possibilities. Doing one-to-one, it can be done. It did get done.
It very much depends on the kind of student that you're working with too.
Yeah, I think there's variables that you have to kind of take into consideration when you're doing telehealth. But there's nothing better, I feel like, than seeing the client be so happy for having some success and being there in person to give high fives and stuff like that. Sitting on a computer when I was doing that during COVID, it was just
different.
Like, yeah, you did it.
Yeah. I think too, like, it depends on the quality of, no offense, but like it depends on the quality of the BCBA that you are, because there's a lot of, I think what's scary is that there's a lot of lazy BCBAs that are doing telehealth. So really they're like half-assed doing their job. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I definitely agree.
I think I've felt that.
Yeah. Just checking the boxes in order to do their job, right? Not like doing their job, just checking the boxes to say, I showed up, I was here for the job. That's not producing meaningful change. And I think that is a big difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So yeah, the quality of the BCBA definitely matters, for sure, without a doubt. So then, let me ask you this then. What do you think can make telehealth better?
I for sure think accountability, like maybe like whether it be the agency or like in the job description, explaining what the expectations are for a BCBA, because like I know that we naturally just do what we know we're supposed to do, but that's just not the reality of everyone else.
Sure.
And so having that in clear writing, like you can support from telehealth if it makes sense because of X, Y, and Z, or maybe like, these are things that you should be in person for. Case launches, like things that are like big deals. Like you're not just going to throw staff in there by themselves and be like, okay. It's also, I remember being a one-to-one staff and knowing that sometimes doing telehealth, like supervision, it's more work because you're trying to carry around a tablet so that your supervisor can see what's going on. And it's like, you're already like trying not to get bit, or you're already trying to like, keep this kid entertained, or you have a lot of materials on the table and your tablet keeps falling. It's just like, it's overwhelming too, because it's like another thing you have to do. So I think that's hard too. So I think putting in some sort of stipulations of when it makes sense, when it doesn't make sense, so that there's clear guidelines. What do you think? I
agree. I think, like we said, that there are places that it can be good. I think you're right. One-to-one staff has a really hard time if they've got a runner or a kiddo that moves a lot. Just posting up and putting your tablet or a device somewhere to watch can be highly, highly stressful and difficult. So that's a factor.
To connect to Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
you got to use your hotspot. It's just a lot.
There can absolutely be a lot for that too. I also think from like the parent's perspective, that can make it better is actually asking, is my BCBA going to be in person?
Yeah.
Or is there is it all telehealth.
Yeah, that's a good question for parents to ask when they're coming into like a new ABA space.
Yeah.
Like, not how often are they going to be seen with the BCBA or things like that, but like how often are they going to be seen in person with the BCBA? I think that's,
Yeah.
again, if you're like in a rural area, then again that makes it different. But we're in California, you know, there's a bunch of us out here, so it's like
Yeah.
you should be seeing your BCBA in person.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And like what you said too, you know, aside from just the parent perspective, it's just the parameters around what is, if we are going to do telehealth, what is that going to look like?
Yeah.
Right. You know, I've heard of agencies upping like the billable standard because if a BCBA works from home, they can like bill back to back to back to back to back. But that doesn't mean it's best practice. And you know, I've heard of agencies because of telehealth moving to like 35 billable hours a week. But it just
sucking
doesn't
the life out of this.
yeah, but it doesn't really allow a lot of time to really be focused on making those changes because you, as a BCBA, you know this too. There's priorities that we have to make in sessions, and we have to make those kind of on the fly. We're not always just like, this is my priority today. No, well, we have to, you know, assess where the kid's at. We have to assess the staff. We have to, there's too many things for us to assess to be able to come in with a strong plan and be like, this is it. We're not detouring. We're staying here and that's it. So when we have, you know, situations like that, we're jumping in just unclear of everything because we don't start the session. We just pop in for 30 minutes in the middle of the session. We're all over the place. We don't know what we're seeing. And so that makes us hard to do that sort of stuff. So that's something I would also consider as something that we can do to make telehealth better, is just having a clearer understanding of how many hours, like the parameters you were saying, are going to be used for that. How often, you know, how we can measure it being successful or not. Like if there's a measurement for that. You know, one of the places I think that it's really good to use telehealth is if we have a kiddo that you cannot talk about in front of. So a kiddo that's got language, understands language, can communicate very well, and you're trying to talk to the staff while they're in the same room about what they're doing wrong, what they can change to do better as a staff. Well, if the kiddo can hear all that, then they can also put up a wall and become resistant to those changes because they just heard you say them. So telehealth can be a good place for that if you are doing like, you know, AirPod in the ear and communicating that way. I think it can be really helpful because the kiddo doesn't know what's coming or what's changing. And, you know, we can start helping making new habits and things that way. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was probably the most fun sessions that I had during telehealth, or the COVID times, the COVID era.
Still a thing, but yeah.
Yeah, it
kidding,
didn't
but yeah,
go away. It's still here, but we're not in lockdown.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of cool, that there are those opportunities, and there are research papers on that specific stuff. That's why I did it, because I've read several research articles on the effectiveness of it, and I thought it was cool. I was like, let's give this a try, something better. But then when everything's on telehealth, it just made it really hard too. It's like, oh, we got to go to a breakout room and talk. Let's leave the kid here. It doesn't really work that way.
Come back and they're gone.
Yeah, or trying to type messages to them at the same time.
So funny.
You know, the moment a kid is like, oh, I don't want to do this, and closes the computer,
It's like,
or
you ain't
logs
got
out, it's
nothing
like,
you can really do.
how are we going to prompt them to turn it back on? Like,
Call
we just
parent.
call parents. Exactly. Just like, hey, they closed the computer. Can you be right beside them? Now you're putting more stress on the family too, because they might not be able to do that.
Yeah.
So where do you think telehealth is going in the field then?
I don't think it'll go away. Everything is technology nowadays, so I feel like it's not going anywhere, but I think they are going to tighten up on probably how we can use it. That's just my opinion. But
Well, I
who
hope
knows?
that they do.
Yeah, who knows?
That might be the unpopular opinion of many, for me to say that, but I just don't think it is the best quality that we can get.
Yeah.
For our clients. If we're trying to produce these outcomes, you know, we prioritize our goals. You might make a change. Like I was saying, you might make a change and be like, no, we got to work on this right now. we're not going to work on anything else. How do you do that through
Yeah.
telehealth?
Yeah.
How do you
Or how do you
convey that?
model? Yeah, like how do you model
Yeah,
certain things? It's just not the same. Yeah.
not at all.
So I don't know. One thing that I kind of think of as we bring it back to even just our own marriage is we had a season where we weren't seeing each other very much because we were doing a housing project. And so a lot of our communication was through like FaceTime kind of stuff. And I will even say that I feel like was hard and is not the same as talking to you in person or laying next to you at night, things like that. Like, it's just not the same. Like, and I think it kind of brings me to that as well. Like, it's hard to maintain relationships in the same way as you would in person through technology.
Yeah. I mean, it's a blessing that we have the technology to be able
Absolutely.
to do this, because it'd be even harder. Could you imagine, like, back in the day, having to send a letter to you to talk to you?
Well, I
What else?
mean,
So there's a
even
way.
with, Jordan's from Australia, so like talking to your family, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is the reason why our kids see them as much as they do is because of FaceTime. Not the same at all, but it's, yeah, like you're saying, it's better than sending a letter back and forth or an email back and forth.
Yeah. The technology has its place even in our relationship. We use it all the time. You want to show me something that our
Sending
child is doing.
recipes.
Yeah, but like if our child's doing something cool, you can snap a picture and send it to me, or like a video and send it to me, and do it live. Like, there's a bunch of cool things that it does, and so we've definitely used it a lot. And the same platforms that we would for telehealth, being like a video chat, whatever platform you use, but using a video chat to communicate and things like that. Shout out to anybody that is in a long distance relationship and has to use those for long extended periods of time. We were only going like a couple of weeks at a time.
Yeah.
At most. And then having it there is such an important thing.
Yeah.
Like, having the ability to communicate and have those times. So it is something that's important, but the intimacy behind it can be, as it's just, it can be different. It's not the same.
Pretty Ricky was wrong. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So I think I am excited to see what kind of restrictions come out for the field around telehealth. Some of the insurance companies that we're working with now have started like tightening up a little bit, or at least trying to get some baseline data of how much it's being used, which I think is pretty cool. It just makes it a little hard when we're requesting hours, like how much of that can be this and not. That stuff kind of makes it interesting. But overall, I think people are aware that it's not the same.
Absolutely.
And that we're going to make differences and changes in the field, which is going to be huge. Now, rural areas and things aside, just the areas where there's dense population of BCBAs and therapists and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
sweet. Well, do you have anything else to add to that?
no, I think that's it for you guys this time.
Okay. Let's see. Question. What is one thing that you will miss about the summer?
I keep hitting a wall, because if you have a clinic or you're working in this field, everyone's schedule changes. So I'm looking forward, or I'm going to miss nothing about that at all.
Okay, my brain is like, I'm going to miss the fruit that is in season.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. I'm gonna get to see you more, get to see you around the clinic. So it
literally makes
I'm gonna
sense.
I'm gonna miss
I see you
that.
more when I'm working than when I'm not.
Yeah. So in terms of what I'm gonna miss about the summer is, I guess, the longer hours of the day.
You're gonna miss the longer hour. I thought you meant
Yeah.
at work.
No, because like when I get home, the sun's still up, and like I can walk the dog with a daylight and all that sort of stuff. So like that would be the thing that I miss the most, because I can come home and it's still daylight, so I can still like play with the kids outside or something like that. But
that makes sense.
That would be what I miss.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say fruit and margaritas. Like, I feel like
like you can't have a margarita any other time.
But like, in the fall, I don't want a margarita really. Like I do, but I don't. You know what I mean? Like I
All
want
right.
like summer. I'm like I want a mango margarita. I want a watermelon margarita. I
Whatever
want a
you want.
pineapple margarita. You feel me? So, anyways,
Maybe to celebrate summer, what we can do is we'll take a watermelon, cut a hole, blend it all up, pour the tequila in, and make it watermelon
just top it
margarita.
off with some tahini.
Sure.
Beautiful.
There you go. There's a plan to kick off fall.
Good.
Last day of summer.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Yes, we will. Bye for now.